Welcome to Comfort Zone, a podcast all about pushing your hosts, well, outside of their comfort zone. I'm Christopher Lawley, and each week I am joined by two incredible co-hosts. And this week, one of us is Madam President. As always, I am joined by Matt Birchler. Matt, how are you doing, and are you Madam President?
I don't think I am, but I'm still doing pretty good anyway.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Okay, well, you're not Madam President. Niléane, we're also joined by you. Are you
Hello.
Madam President?
I suppose. I don't want anyone to call me that.
Okay.
Yeah,
It'll be
but-
last time I do it. Last time I do the bit.
Yeah, you should explain to people if we make that joke. The organization that I'm an activist at, to the Femme in France, I'm the president of it now. So expect to hear more insane ramblings about the state of the world and trans rights.
Congratulations, Niléane, on your being right now you're president-elect. And congratulations. Yeah. But anyways, we have a big show for you all. But the first thing I want to call out is we now have a feedback form. There will be a link in the show notes. You can go there. You can leave feedback for us. It is limited to 1,000 characters, and you do have to have an email address to sign in. That's because we don't want spam, and we don't want people abusing it. So this way it can kind of be controlled a little bit. But 1,000 characters is still quite a bit. It's more than a Mastodon post. So, feel free to use this to play along with our challenges or answer the end of the show questions or just, tell us how great we're doing. I could always hear it. I am a straight white guy, so I do have a fragile ego. So it is nice to hear how good I'm doing. Right. Okay.
Yes.
That wasn't that funny.
You're very funny.
We have some listener feedback. Who put this first one in here?
That one was me. In response to your question last week about what about the Switch 2 are we most excited about, listener Daniel said he is excited about the power that the Switch 2 will have. He's apparently been away from Nintendo for many years and has a lot of catching up to do and is looking forward to that 4K crispiness.
This is a great time to jump in on Nintendo, especially if you sign up for the Nintendo Online stuff and you get the back catalog of Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 64, and now GameCube, which my personal favorite, GameCube. I'm so excited about that.
Heck yeah.
I read something online this week that the developers are saying the Nintendo Switch 2 is the equivalent of a mid-range gaming PC, which made me very excited.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know. This is a comment from one developer, and I don't even know who this person is, so take it with what you will. But that comment did make me a little excited because I was like, okay, that is kind of exciting that you can get that kind of power because they're NVIDIA. We don't even have time for it. NVIDIA is doing some fun stuff with it.
Yeah,
but
I am curious because not even a PS5 is a mid-range PC these days. So I'm curious. What they're talking about.
And there are some weird benchmarks that I saw with Cyberpunk coming out that
Are they talking about a M4 MacBook Air?
Yes, they are.
Is that the mid-range PC?
Yes, the M4 MacBook Air, because that's the only way you can do real gaming is on an M4 MacBook Air. And as somebody that is sitting in front of one of those right now, you can't. No. Anyways, the next piece of listener feedback I put up here, this kind of goes back, but it wasn't ready when we did this, but this goes back to our Raycast extension challenge. And I apologize because I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right, but Flowgrow, somebody I've followed for a while, they do a lot of stuff with drafts. Love Drafts. Drafts is a great app. They wrote the extension for Raycast, for the Drafts Raycast extension, and it does a bunch of interesting things, but they just put out an update that allows you to run Drafts actions from Raycast right there. So I've been using this to basically create, because I have a bunch of templates in Drafts. So I've just been using this to trigger those templates and fill out that information and copy and paste it. I used to do this in Obsidian a lot, but it made my Obsidian vault very messy. So I went back to using Drafts for this. So anyways,
nice.
Just wanted to call that out.
Always happy about a new Raycast extension.
Right? Raycast is just such a lovely app. I hope it's not one of those ones that turns out like it's run by heads.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't believe how hard I'm crossing my fingers.
I
about
know,
this.
right? Like, please don't ruin this for me.
Please don't make us go back to Spotlight.
Yeah.
Chris, your mention of drafts has made me, of course, pull up the popular themes list on drafts to see what the deal is, and you continue to have the most popular theme in drafts. So
Which is just a
congratulations.
ripoff of your theme.
Unbelievable.
It's the dark
Well
mode
done.
version of your light mode
That's
theme.
how you do it. Yeah.
It's working for you. It's working for you.
Copyright doesn't exist anymore. AI.
All right. Who put this next item in here? I have no idea what this
I did.
is. Oh, what? Okay, what is this?
So what I put in is Jet Lag the game.
Okay.
It's some of the best YouTube I've ever watched.
What is it?
And it's the best YouTube I've watched this month.
Matt and I have both put out videos this month. I would just like to point out.
Yeah, well, you should watch it and do the same thing. I don't know. So if you're not familiar, Jet Lag the game, it's been around for years. And I've never heard of it. It's my first time. So people are probably already aware of this listening to us right now, but it's okay. It's a series that they do on YouTube. It's their 13th season. And what they do is they race across like a continent or a series of countries, and the game changes around. If my understanding is correct, they change the rules of the game every season. But yeah, I stumbled upon it this week, and I binged watched the latest season, the one that's currently ongoing, and the finale is not out yet. It's out next week. So tomorrow, when this episode comes out. And this season, they race across the Schengen area in the EU. The Schengen area, if you're not familiar, is this international agreement between European countries to lift borders, essentially. So you can cross borders on foot without any security checks or whatever. And so that's been in place for years. But yeah, they race across countries in the Schengen area, and there's a point system and a challenge system. So yeah, it's a bit like us.
So what you're saying is they ripped us off. Even though they've been doing this longer than us, they ripped us off.
Totally. So, for example, I will not spoil it. Just to explain the concept, there are two teams, and they have to race to claim the most countries in the Schengen area, and most points win. They gain 1 point once they are in the country, and they can steal another a country that's already been claimed by the opposite team. So there's a bunch of strategy like that. They can take the train, they can take the bus, they can take flights, although there's a penalty for using flights because they have a limited budget for flights. And that's pretty good, I guess, because carbon, the carbon footprint is pretty huge for this sort of thing. But it's so fun. Like the challenges are nuts. So the challenges, they have to perform them to lock in the country that they've claimed. So if they arrived in Sweden, for example, they claim Sweden, they have 1 point on the board, but they can lock it so that the other team can't steal it. And to lock it, they have to perform a challenge. And the challenges are unique per country, and they are insane. I will not spoil them. But yeah, I've binge-watched this thing on YouTube this week. It's so cool. I love it. It's so fun. I need more of this. And once this is done next week, I will be watching the back catalog. It's very fun.
I just pulled it up. It looks like Tom Scott is on this season.
Yeah, Tom Scott is on this season, which is why I clicked.
I was going to say, I need...
because I saw a familiar face, so I clicked.
It's been a couple years since I've seen since Tom Scott stopped doing videos every week, and
yeah,
I've missed it. So this is
so
great.
if you need your dose of Tom Scott, you can watch this. It's really nice. Each episode is very long, so it's like whole movie. You can grab a snack, sit down, and watch the thing. It's really fun.
All right. And then, Niléane, I'm assuming this last thing in the Tiny Topics is yours as well.
Yeah. So one more thing, because today is the day that the new Bon Iver album is coming out. Love this artist, been listening for years. New album is out today. And as you know, I thought this was a good follow-up because I've switched over from using Apple Music as my main music listening thing, and now I'm using files on hard drives on my local storage on my iPhone to listen to music. And people have been asking on Mastodon and my DMs, etc., where do I buy the music? So a big part of my library I've bought over the years. So on random sites, most of it is from iTunes. A bunch of it is from Bandcamp, which is a platform where you can purchase music from artists directly. They have a lower commission, so it's better to support. It's better to purchase in this platform if your artist is on it. In many ways, but yeah, today I bought the Bon Iver album on Cobuse, and Cobuse is funny because it's a platform. It's a music streaming platform that's marketed around lossless music, so like really, really high res lossless music that you can stream on this platform if you subscribe. But actually, it's also a store where you can just purchase music DRM-free, and they just give you the files. You do whatever you want with it. So I purchased the Bon Iver album on it today, and I think it's pretty good. Like, it's a good way to purchase music. Because unlike the iTunes Store, like it's been DRM-free for years now when you purchase music on iTunes Store, but it's such a hassle to get the files and to do whatever. Like, they're stuck in whatever nightmare hole iTunes is on your hard drive, whatever. I never understood it, and it's a nightmare to export them. Yeah, Cobuse is a good platform. You purchase it and you download it as a zip file. It's high res. You can also purchase albums for lower price tier, but then you get CD quality. So that's like MP3s at 320 kilobytes per second. So like the higher tier of MP3s. But you can pay a bit more and you get lossless. You get FLAC files if that's your jam. So yeah. Just wanted to shout out Cobuse. Weird name, weird web design, all over, but it's a good place to purchase music.
That's awesome. I like it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I lost my whole music library, so I just kind of gave up.
I know.
Yeah, that sucks.
We know, and we're sorry.
I'm also really sorry. I'm very worried about the audio quality of this episode, especially for when I am talking. I will try and cut all my track when I am not speaking, because now there's some like grinding on concrete sound happening like right outside I don't think it's gardeners. I think there's actual construction happening next door now. So that's just unfortunate timing.
For what it's worth, we can't hear anything right now.
I can't hear a single thing. Yeah.
I still think it might show up in my recording. But hopefully it doesn't. But
if you're bothered by it, just leave us something in the new feedback form.
And by leave us something, a nice comment.
Nice things. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the main show. Niléane, you're first up in the document. This is a Niléane episode. What's going on?
Hey, I'm on fire. Okay. So I will ask you to look at my video feed and people watching the video podcast as well. And you can feel free to describe for audio listeners. I will make an impression and try to guess what I'm doing an impression of, okay?
YouTube thumbnail.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. YouTube thumbnail, that's it.
Okay.
I was making a big surprise grimace, extremely exaggerated grimace. Yeah.
Now I know what our thumbnail's going to be for this episode. We're all doing that.
Oh, don't you dare. Okay. So yes, I've found a new browser extension. So it's not new. It's been around for a while. I just didn't know about it. It's a browser extension that I feel Chris might feel at odds with, but we'll see.
Okay.
What it does is it lets you automatically replace every thumbnail on YouTube with a generic random frame of the video.
Okay. Let's get into it.
Hear me out.
No.
Okay. With a generic random frame of the video. Okay. So it gets rid of the...
We should each get like one objection to somebody's topic. Like you get one a year, and we can just hit like a big red button and like it just skips that.
I will get to the end of my of my explanation. Okay.
Okay.
So it gets rid of all these exaggerated thumbnails.
Wait, does
and
it
what
just target those, or does it target every
Every-
thumbnail?
I'll
Well,
explain.
oh,
I'll explain.
explain.
No,
Explain.
so hard.
not really. I'll explain. Okay. So I'm talking about the defaults here because there's a ton of settings in this extension. Okay. So the default is it will replace all the thumbnails with a random frame of the video, just like old YouTube when you couldn't customize the thumbnail. And what it does as well is it replaces the titles of the videos. And here as well, it can be automatic and you can customize it. So how can you customize these things? Let's start with the thumbnails. This extension, so I've not said the name yet, it's called DRO. So DEARROW. So like removing arrows, I guess.
Yeah,
DRO.
'cause people put a lot of arrows in
Yeah, they put
thumbnails.
arrows on
They'll like
thumbnails.
circle like random things that have
Yeah.
nothing to do with the video and draw an arrow at it. And it's like, you won't believe what this is.
It's huge with an arrow. So yeah, so let's start with the thumbnails. You can disable the automatic replacement of thumbnails, which is what I've done. Instead, what this extension has is special for is it's crowdsourced. So everyone who has this extension installed can pick and submit a different thumbnail for the video. So people watching the video with the extension installed, they can pick a frame in the video and submit that as the default thumbnail for everyone using the extension. And people can downvote, upvote, etc. So if you think you have a better frame to use as the thumbnail, you can pick a different one and submit it and hope that people vote for it instead. So you can set, there's a setting in there. You can say, leave all the original thumbnails, but replace those that have votes. Okay, so only see user submitted thumbnails and otherwise if there's no submissions, you will see the original YouTuber's thumbnail. Okay. And for the titles, the video titles, it's a bit of the same thing. So by default, what it does, it's just auto formatting the titles. So it will remove caps locks, like entire phrases written in caps. It will remove emojis, like it will just capitalize them in title case, generic title case. So videos are not screaming at you in your feed. And yeah, that's just it, auto formatting. But like the thumbnails, people can submit their own titles, alternative titles, and people can vote for them. And the extension has guidelines, so you cannot submit any title. The guidelines are, I don't remember exactly, but they are like, be descriptive, do not spoil the content of the video. So it doesn't have to, it mustn't spoil the content of the video, but it must still be somewhat descriptive, just like a regular article title, I guess. The way a good article title is descriptive, but does not like explain everything in the title already. It doesn't give away everything.
That's good.
Yeah, and it mustn't be exaggerated, like emphasis, like exaggerated emphasis, etc., is forbidden. So you can't submit those. For example, saying "I was shocked." So YouTubers sometimes there's a regular title and in parentheses at the end they say "I was shocked." So that's forbidden with this in these guidelines. And you can set in the extension settings. You can choose, okay, I want to see the original titles, unless there's a user-submitted title that has votes, and then show me those instead. Which is what I've done. So in my settings right now, I only see user-submitted thumbnails and user-submitted titles. So I'm done explaining, and now my opinion is it's amazing. Okay, it's amazing. So I'm not fan of the defaults because the generic random frame thumbnails, they made it hard. They made it hard to pass my YouTube homepage. Like the typical exaggerated YouTube thumbnails that they are very cursed. Like I'm so mad about them all the time. They are very cursed, but they do have a point. Like they help sending the video. They help let you know what's the video about. And so the generic frames don't work. However, the user submitted frames as thumbnails, I think they work well, because I found that when there's a user submitted frame as the thumbnail, people choose like pretty nice frames. Like the for example, if the video is about, hey, we built a boat out of plastic. I have no idea. We built a boat out of plastic. Let's see if it crosses the channel. I don't know. People will generally pick a frame where you can see the boat being constructed in the video, whereas the original thumbnail that the YouTuber submitted might have been just like a mock-up or like something exaggerated or drawing that's never to be seen inside the video itself.
The thumbnail for a general YouTuber that would be trying to get as much clicks as possible would be the boat in the middle of the water sinking and the people yelling like help or something like that. That would be the thumbnail for a general YouTuber.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, I found that here, a user-submitted thumbnail would be just a frame from the video where the boat is being constructed and you can see it clearly, something like that. So I'm done. I just want to give you an example before you give your opinions, okay? I will pick a YouTube channel that I kind of like.
Oh, no.
I've liked it for years, but it's oftentimes part of dramas, online dramas, and
okay, I'm safe.
Oh no, you're not. Don't worry about it. And many times I'm really mad about it. Like it makes me mad. This channel makes me mad. Okay, so enough suspense. This is Linus Tech Tips.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, genuinely, I kind of like it. I really like Linus Tech Tips videos sometimes. They go into some topics that most topics are very PC gamer oriented, and I don't really care for that. But some topics are, I feel like, are more interesting. Anyway, all of this to say, I'm still subscribed to Linus Tech Tips. I cannot bear what it has become with their thumbnails and video titles. They are the worst. So I will give you an example, some of their recent videos. I will give you the user submitted title of the video. Try to guess what's the original title from Linus Tech Tips, okay? Don't cheat, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay. This one is going to be fun. Okay. User submitted title. Adding cooling radiators to the door of our server rack. That's the user submitted title. Adding cooling radiators to the door of our server rack. What do you think is the real title?
Something like we froze our servers, or
I kind of know what this video is.
Oh yeah,
I think it's some. I think that it's like $1 million or something. This costs like $1 million.
$1 million server upgrade. Yeah.
So the real title is "The $1 million PC ruined our server room," and the thumbnail is a PC on fire with Linus like it being really sad. And the user submitted thumbnail is just Linus like showing the server rack, I guess. Yeah, let's try another one. I think it's really fun. I'm having way too much fun. Okay. Okay, this one is user submitted title: Unboxing the Streacom SG10 fanless PC case. Unboxing the Streacom SG10 fanless PC case.
something
What do you think is the original title?
It's gonna be like something like this PC case cost $5,000 or something like this PC case ruined gaming or something like that.
That's got to be it.
Yeah, it's gonna be something along those lines.
No, but yeah, you know what I checked? No, this one is I bought this scam PC case and it actually arrived.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. I won't go in much further, but you see the idea.
I am really curious. Have any of my videos been flagged by like users?
Oh, do you want me to look here?
I'm just genuinely curious because I think
I'm already looking at my own. Yeah.
I think I do a pretty good job with my thumbnails.
I think you do as well.
Titles.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, I've pulled up your channel.
Yes.
This is the time to explain. When you have the extension enabled, it will put a little label beside the title so you know if it has been swapped with a new title or not. Okay, none of your videos have been swapped.
Yes! Haha. See,
They're all original.
I think I do a great job with my titles and thumbnails.
Oh, there's one. I found one.
Oh, okay.
From
which one
10 months ago. This is the only one I can see.
Okay.
The user submitted title is 2024 iPad Pro Review.
Okay.
And your original title is M4 iPad Pro Review, My Computer.
Yeah, I don't see how that's. It was literally the computer I worked for until. We'll get to that.
But yeah, if you're not happy with title, you can just click the video and downvote it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And I believe in the settings you can choose how many votes until.
Oh, okay.
I think
until
so.
there's like a threshold.
I'm not sure, actually, I think you can set a threshold, but it might be in the advanced settings because you can set channel specific settings and then you can create a JSON or whatever. So it can go pretty deep.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's deeper than I want to mess with. Honestly, like I know there are YouTube channels out there with obnoxious thumbnails and titles. I try very hard not to be that. There are a lot of the thumbnails. Okay, little peek behind the curtain. A lot of the thumbnails you see with like YouTubers' faces and stuff on there, they just spent a bunch of time and took a bunch of photos and like they literally just photoshopped it so that they have a bunch of like faces that they've made that they can just drop in thumbnails. Like they're not actually reactionary to that video. It's so obnoxious. Like I hate that part of YouTube so much. In fact, I've literally been told by somebody that works for YouTube that I need to do that. And I just looked at him and said, no, like I will never do that.
Well, I commend you for that.
I don't care if it's costing me views. I would rather keep like my channel. Anyways, I'm over. Yeah, I'm done with it.
And it looks like you're doing well. Like people using this extension, which I assume is an audience that's sensitive to obnoxious titles. They've not swapped any of your titles except this one.
It's kind of a deep cut extension. It's not like some like popular ad blocker or something like that. So it's probably going to be more techie people that are using it.
Yeah.
They're going to watch techie videos. So I'm gonna assume that there's probably a non-insignificant amount of people that use this extension have watched my videos in the past. So that may sound a little egotistical, but
I think it's safe to assume.
Yeah, I think it's a good assumption.
Yeah.
All right.
So Matt, you've been sighing and grinning.
Has Matt's videos been targeted?
So here's what I'll say. I fully support this. The open web is all about this. You can do it, and if it works for you, then that's awesome. I have no beef with anyone who uses this. I have tried this before.
Oh, okay.
As a user, I dislike this greatly. I'm looking at Chris's channel right now. Almost every thumbnail submitted for you is just you at your desk doing like this.
What?
Or like this. Like it's just like you in the middle of talking, and they don't show the thing you're talking about. So I don't know what the video's about.
But I don't see any user submitted thumbnails for his channel.
Oh, maybe that's just the middle section.
I think you're seeing the random frames.
Oh,
okay.
Because that's enabled by default.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So my
thumbnails.
Yeah.
I don't see any way to only show user ones.
So in the options, you go into the behavior tab.
Oh, there's options. Okay.
Yeah. There's a behavior tab, and then you can choose when no submitted thumbnail exists. Then there you can pick show the original thumbnail.
Okay.
By default, just pick some random frame.
Gotcha. Oh, this is much better then. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I should try that, but I find it so hard to tell what these videos are, especially at least with the default settings. Like I looked at the feed and I was like, I don't know what any of these are. I don't know what they're about, and it feels like, to me, it feels a bit like movie posters are stupid. They're just trying to trick you to watch the movie. We should just put the heads of every person in the movie. No passion, no artistry. And I'm not saying YouTube thumbnails are art or anything, but like, especially some of the annoying ones that I know bother people more than they bother me. But like, it's like, yeah. I had a I was talking with someone when this came up originally a few months ago in my timeline. And I was like, it's a little bit of a bummer to like make YouTube videos because like
Right.
people don't want our titles. They don't want our thumbnails. They want to just, the top comment, if you don't get to the point like right away, will be like, video starts at 45 seconds or something.
God, that
or
drove me-
like, is like, this is what the whole point of the video is. And then that's the whole comment. They want ad blockers. They'll skip sponsor segments. And I was like, do you even want videos? Like, what are you doing here? If you want to replace everything we've done? It's interesting.
That stuff really frustrates me, especially like when people are like openly talk about like, yes, I use an ad blocker on YouTube videos. Well, what do you mean you're not putting in like chapter support so I can skip your sponsor read that you're doing? I'm like, do you not realize how much time I put into making these videos? Yes, I would like to get some money so I can pay my bills for return. Like, anyways, I'm going to turn into a grumpy old man.
It's a tough thing. And like in the app, of course, you have no way to block any of this. But if you're on the web, I, as much as it is annoying, I do think that the beauty of the web is that users have control over what they see and what they do. So it's fine for it to exist. And if you like it, I don't have any beef with it. But yeah, I guess taking myself as someone who does YouTube out of the picture, I found it kind of frustrating because I find the titles helpful. And especially like recurring show, like video types, like a weekly show, like here's our weekly news show. I know what that thumbnail looks like and I know what to look for. And so I know what that is. Maybe this will help if I don't do if I change the defaults. But that was what kind of threw me off in the first place using it the first time I gave it a go, is it felt just too like generic everything. So like I didn't know what I was clicking into. So maybe I need to tweak the settings to get a better experience.
Yeah, I completely agree with the generic thumbnails. I've disabled them almost immediately. About the recurring videos, for example, I mentioned Jet Lag the Game, which I've been watching. When those get user submitted titles, people do always format them like very clearly. And Jet Lag the Game is unfortunately a culprit here because this is a series right, with seasons, and if you look at the channel, you have no idea which video is part of which season and which episode it is. It's sometimes written in the title, but it's not always written in the same way. Sometimes at the end of the title, beginning, the thumbnails don't say it. And this extension has made it so Jet Lag the Game, they always titled the same way. So season, I don't think the user submitted titles have the season, but they always say the episode, and it's always at the same place in the title. That's been helpful. That's been helpful to me. Yeah. But otherwise, I agree. Yeah, the thumbnails. That's why I'm keeping the original.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you're keeping the original because I put a lot of work into my thumbnails.
I know. I've put work in 2 hours.
Yep.
Somebody's going to go through our videos and submit thumbnails.
Thumbnails for podcasts are hard. Like they are not easy. So, anyways, anything else on this?
I'm still in the gang. Still like me.
Yeah, still like you. So,
okay.
Still,
yes,
you're
of
still
course.
Good. Yeah, you're
worried.
Good. You're good. If the extension was heavily targeting my videos, I'm just kidding. No, we're good. All right. Well, I think I have kind of a shorter topic this week because I put out a video earlier this week called earlier by the time you're listening to this, it'd be earlier last week. Schedules. I put out a video called "Changing My Relationship with the iPad," which I think is a pretty straightforward title, especially for the content. I am now more of a Mac user than I am an iPad user. And this is probably the first time I could say that. Even though I did have a stint there a couple of years ago with the M1 Max MacBook Pro because LumaFusion got super buggy and I couldn't edit video on it. Well, I couldn't export video. And I ended up ordering an M1 Max MacBook Pro, and I used that for video editing until Final Cut came to the iPad, which was probably about a year or two, something like that. So I made this video, and kind of the TL didn't watch, even though you should go watch it, is iPadOS growth has stalled. I talk in that video about how like the last big iPadOS feature was Stage Manager, which was iPadOS 16, which now at this point is 3 years ago. It got some updates in iPadOS 17. There were some minor things in iPadOS 17, but nothing huge. And then iPadOS 18, the only thing it really had was Smart Script and Math Notes. And then, it added the calculator app. Okay. So, like, iPadOS growth has not been happening the last few years. And it is a fairly young platform, and it needs that growth. Like, it needs massive, massive updates.
Ooh, are we calling it young?
I am, because if you think about it, it was in lockstep for about 8 years. It was not 8 years. I guess it started with iOS 3 or iPhone OS 3.
It shipped with iPhone OS 3 point something, yeah.
3.2. And all the way up until iOS 9, it was lockstep in feature. iOS 9 brought split view, keyboard shortcuts, and picture-in-picture. It didn't get anything in iOS 10. iOS 11, that's when it got the more modern version of split view with like drag and drop multitasking, things like that. Didn't get anything in 12. Actually, it did. It got one thing in 12. Or no, this was in 10. It got one thing in 10, and that was the ability to drag a Safari tab over to the other right-hand side, and you could have Safari side by side. Like, that was the only app that supported it. That was it. 13 comes around, and that's when iPadOS was introduced, and that's really when it started to like fork off into its own thing. So I still consider it fairly young. I know there's an argument that it's not young, but even if you do go with the side of the argument that it's not young, I think my point stands even more that like it's not young and it's had no growth. It's had very, very little growth, and a lot of the growth is replacing the thing that came before, like replacing the previous version of multitasking. So that's been a huge issue. Another issue is developers aren't targeting the iPad. Name the last big iPad app to come out that was like an app that was primarily meant for the iPad, something like GoodNotes, Procreate, something like that.
Instagram.
I was struggling to answer this question. I was like, maybe it was Final Cut, and then I was like, oh, there's Procreate Dreams, but I don't know anyone professionally that uses Procreate Dreams. There's just about every other iPad Pro app out there. I've had somebody email me, or I know somebody personally that uses it in a professional way, but like I can't think of anyone that uses Procreate Dreams, or I know of anyone that uses Procreate Dreams on a professional level. So I really couldn't think about like what was the last big iPad app. Developers just aren't targeting the iPad for some reason. I don't know if that's because there hasn't been major API changes. There hasn't been anything to do there. Like, yes, there's the Apple Pencil, but what else is going on? Developers are already making their apps on the Mac because there is no full Xcode on the iPad. Yes, there's Swift Playgrounds. Extremely limited. Still to this day, you cannot have a subscription-based app built in Swift Playgrounds. If you make an app in Swift Playgrounds, it either has to be free or paid upfront, which I know that's what a lot of people out there like, but developers, they need to pay their bills too, and the only way to really do that in this modern world is with subscriptions.
Also,
Yeah.
I mean, also as someone who has used Xcode and Swift Playgrounds, it's like
Bring it home.
I don't even know what a comparison would be. Like, it's not. Oh, it's basically Xcode. It's very, very simple in comparison.
Yeah.
And none of the dev tooling around the IDE is there. You don't have a terminal. You don't have like access to third-party like it's so much less. Like you can make stuff, like you can do stuff there, but it's not an equivalent. Like Final Cut versus Final Cut on the Mac is far, far closer in quality
Yeah.
and functionality.
And even still, that is literally my next point. Final Cut on the iPad and Final Cut on the Mac are dramatically different. And it's been a few years, and I knew this from the get-go when Final Cut came to the iPad. I knew this from the get-go. But I had faith that I was like, okay, it's subscription based. They know this. They're going to be turning out updates all the time. And they have put out some updates. But the first few updates were focused on capturing content, not editing. I'm like, I don't care about that. I'm not using Final Cut to capture. Mm-hmm. I have a whole system that's I don't care about that. Apple is really hung up on like, oh my gosh, it's so great to use your iPhone just to capture everything. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah, like those features are so cool and so technically impressive. They just don't help me.
They don't help me. If I was starting off, today, maybe I would be doing that. But there is a lot of limitations to using your iPhone as your camera. That's a whole nother topic. But there's advanced stuff, and like I think the biggest thing I jump to in my mind when I think about Final Cut Pro for the iPad and the difference between the Mac is when Final Cut Pro for the iPad was announced. I know this. I went back and referenced my video and I saw the screenshot. Apple said third-party plugins will come to Final Cut Pro for the iPad. They said coming soon. They didn't give a date, but they said coming soon. We're at like over 2 years with this app. It is actually not on the website anymore. I had to use the Wayback Machine in order to see that. Apple has never made mention of it again. I've not heard them talk about it publicly or privately. I kind of have a feeling this feature got dropped. And I know they had partners lined up. Like I know this was actually something they were like, yeah, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I think it got dropped, which if it got dropped, that's a huge thing. Like I actually don't use a lot of plugins, even on Final Cut Pro for the Mac. I've built a lot of plugins myself. And usually what plugins are just like preset effects and templates. Like I've built my own that I want to use for myself. And that's something you can't do with Final Cut Pro for the iPad. You can't build your own effects, your own plugins, and save them for later. I've talked about this. I literally had a document in Obsidian with all the like effects and plugins and features and all that stuff with all those settings. And I had to sit there and reference the Obsidian document and make changes to those effects so I can get them to be the same across all my videos. It was incredibly frustrating. On the Mac, there's literally a button that says Save Effect Preset. You click that, you save it to wherever you want it to go, and you can just add it to any clip you want going forward. So, and then this isn't just related to Apple's apps, like stuff like Photoshop. Photoshop doesn't have the flippin' pen tool. Like, come on, right? Like the pen tool. Like Photoshop for the iPad does not have the pen tool. That's wild to even think about.
I did not know that. Whoa.
It has like the magnetic one and it's not the magnetic one, it's the magic one or whatever it is. I could get the job done with it, but it was just really frustrating. And then the other thing is no Chrome. This has become more and more of an issue for me as certain websites that I use just flat out don't work with Safari anymore because developers are like, well, web developers are, hey, most of our audience is all on Chrome. That's a huge portion of the web. I'm not going to bother getting this thing working for Safari when I need to spend 90% of my time for 90% of our audience using Chrome or whatever the number is. So the fact that everything is a WebKit-based web engine is just frustrating. Like it's just killing me.
Fun fact, on iPadOS, when I was still using it daily, I had Safari. I had an extension of Safari to set the user agent to Chrome by default. so that it would trick most websites to think it's Chrome. And for most websites, it actually works because they're just flagging Safari as not fit, even though it works. For some sites, they do have technical grounds to not work, but yeah.
So the one frustrating thing, okay, there's one website that I have to deal with once a month, and I have to upload a document to it. No matter what I do in Safari, whether it's on iPhone, iPad, or Mac, it does not let me upload that document. I go to Chrome, upload that document, no problem. Half a second flat, no problem. So I know it's a poorly implemented website. There's nothing I can do about that. I have to upload this document, and I have to use Chrome to do it. So it's one of those things. Like, I was literally like that M2 Mac Mini I got to record this show. I was literally having to remote into that in order to upload this document before I got these review unit Macs. And then just really quickly, because I know we're kind of going long already, but the automation landscape on the iPad is bad, even with shortcuts. Like, shortcuts is absolutely being neglected right now. I have no idea what's going on within the shortcuts team, but the only new actions we have been getting lately are just like, hey, open this settings panel, or opening this setting, this option in settings, or toggle this setting. Like, no, what the heck? There needs to be multitasking options. There needs to be options to run Apple script. Like, there needs to be the same stuff that's on the Mac on the iPad version. And frankly, like, third-party automation utilities, stuff like Hazel, Keyboard Maestro, Better Touch Tool. Like, I've been having a ton of fun playing with those. So, all that to kind of say, like, I've just been having more fun playing with automations and apps on the Mac than I have been with the iPad lately. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, just because I'm the iPad guy on the internet? Like, why am I forcing myself down this, like, kind of... And, you know, frankly, there is another side to it as well. iPad content is not popular anymore. It used to be really popular. Now, I'm not making this change because content, but it's definitely helped influence, like, hey, I used to be able to put out an iPad video and it getting 100,000 views easily, no problem. Now it's like, okay, I'm lucky if I get half that. So, like, that is definitely helping me push myself more towards the Mac, because I know the Mac is very popular right now. The Mac, I go look at the comments on that iPad, on that video I just posted. I changed my relationship with the iPad. There are a vast majority of the comments, a huge majority of the comments are, yeah, I get it. I've done the same thing. I used to use the iPad all the time, but I bought X M series MacBook. The vast majority of the comments, it's just like, yeah, I'm like, why am I putting myself through this when this is not the thing my audience wants anymore? Frankly, like, it very much seems to me like everyone wants videos about Mac apps, not iPad apps right now.
One of my favorite comments I've seen on your video is somebody saying, Chris has finally seen the light, or something like that.
I saw that one. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. That was funny. There's a lot of, like, welcome to the modern era, or welcome to the future. And I'm just like, that's what the iPad was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is, like, at the end of the day, I'm not making this change because of content. There are a few people that are accusing me of that. Yes, iPad content isn't as popular anymore. Yes, Mac content is more popular. But also, at the end of the day, I've just, like, there's nothing happening on the iPad. I love computers. I love new things. I love being able to play with new things. But there's nothing new happening here on the iPad. I feel like I've been repeating myself for the last couple of years when it comes to the iPad, because I haven't had anything new. I haven't had new apps. I haven't had new system features. I haven't had new automations. So I want to go to some place that has this new stuff that I can do new and exciting things with, because that's what I like doing. That's ultimately why I started my channel. That's ultimately, like, why I do all of this. I've done all of this stuff because I like doing new things with computers. And frankly, right now, that is the Mac. The oldest platform Apple has is the thing that has the newest and more exciting features than Apple's younger platforms, which is sad. Like, it really bums me off. So, the thing I'll kind of wrap up with, and I kind of said this in the video, but I've kind of started to since change my mind a little bit, where I'm using the Mac Mini, the review unit Apple sent me. I'm using that as kind of like my main computer, and I'm gonna have to send that back in like the next month or so. Been great using that. It's M4 Pro. Been mostly fast enough. It has 48 gigs of RAM, and I kind of hit that threshold a little bit. I realized and my plan was to kind of get a Mac Mini, use that as my regular desktop machine. I don't travel much. I'm mostly here. Use that as my main machine, and then I was going to downsize my iPad Pro to the 11-inch iPad Pro, just so it's a little more portable, a little bit more easier to travel with. I talk about how I'm actually using my iPad in that video, about how it's a much more focused machine. I've turned off Stage Manager. I got rid of a lot of like distracting apps and things like that. So I thought I was going to use that as my travel machine, but just like using the full version of Final Cut and having access to, again, Chrome and things like that. Like, I'm like, do I really want to go back to traveling with a machine where I don't have the full capabilities? So I think I'm going to end up buying a MacBook Pro. I kind of need your guys' help deciding which one to get, because I'm not entirely sure what to get. Originally, I was like, I want a MacBook Air. I want a fanless computer, something ultra portable. Then I started looking at all the Final Cut benchmarks of that versus like an M4 Pro MacBook Pro, and it was like, it was just bad, because like the MacBook Air just gets thermally throttled almost immediately. Like it's just really bad. So right now is kind of a weird time to buy a MacBook Pro, because we've heard the rumors that in 2026 there will be OLED MacBook Pros. There's also M5 MacBook Pros probably coming at the end of this year. So not exactly the best time to be buying a MacBook Pro. So ultimately, what I really want is a minimum of 64 gigs of RAM. Because I have this Mac Mini with 48 gigs of RAM, and I hit that level and I get to swap quite often. Now here's the issue. The M4 Pro Mac Mini has the option to get 64 gigs of RAM. The M4 Pro MacBook Pro does not. It tops out at 48 gigs of RAM. So the two machines I'm looking at, and I'm thinking 14-inch size, because I want to be able to travel with it. I have the studio display here, so when I need a bigger screen, I can plug it into that. Great. Definitely nano texture. But do I go Pro chip and save a bit of money and go 2 terabyte option, save a little bit of money, or do I go Max chip and 4 terabyte option and 64 gigs of RAM and get the machine I want, knowing the fact that I know myself, and that if the 2026 MacBook Pros do come around the corner and they have OLED, I will immediately be buying one of those, because I love OLED displays. So this is my issue. Do I go M4 Pro, 2 terabyte, and save some money and just kind of deal with it for a year or so? Or do I just say, light money on fire, go Max, 4 terabyte, 64 gigs? What do I do?
You should buy a Pro.
Okay. I kind of had a feeling you were going to say that. And I think that's the right choice, because I know I'm going to end up selling this and getting the OLED.
Yeah, I think if they release an OLED one, it's going to be game over for you, and you're going to want that. The Pro it's basically the same CPU performance. The GPU gets quite a bit better, I guess, on the Max.
Memory bandwidth is double too. That's the other thing that kind of had me like side-eyeing. I think the Pro is like 250 gigabits a second, and the Max was like over 500. So like there was like a significant difference in memory bandwidth.
Yeah.
But
I guess I don't know how that actually impacts me day to day, so I'm not sure. Although also, as we learned last week, I edit from storage about 5% as fast as yours, and I'm fine. So take my advice with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is, like, storage wise, technically there is a 4 terabyte option for the M4 Pro, but I'm like, let's save money here and then spend it on the 2026 one. Niléane, what do you think? What should I do?
I'm not sure. Like, I'm not in your shoes, obviously. Honestly, I have no idea.
Okay.
Like, I don't see which is the better option right now. So perhaps that's pointing to just wait.
Well, so I can't wait because I do have summer travel coming up, and I have to send back the Mac Mini. So I can't wait. I am going to wait a couple of weeks before I order something because we have a Disneyland trip coming up, and I don't want it showing up while we're in Disneyland because that would suck. Because there's be nobody here to sign for it. So I am going to wait a couple weeks to order something. So I do have a little bit of time. But I definitely need something before summer travel. Now, the other thing that I was thinking about, just saving even more money, and again, just putting extra money towards that 2026 machine, because I think if that OLED machine comes out, I'm going to go full maxed out, like max out every spec kind of thing. I could get they have on the Apple Store right now a refurbished M4 Pro, the M4 Pro 14-inch MacBook Pro with nano texture display, 2 terabytes of storage, and 48 gigs of RAM. Probably the exact machine I would order new if I was saving, and it's under $3,000. So I'm like,
sounds great.
Maybe that's the way to go, is get a refurbished machine. I've had a refurbished MacBook Pro before.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Apple does a great job of cleaning those up. Like, those are a very legitimate option.
My M2 MacBook Air was from Apple's refurbished store.
Yeah.
And yeah,
feels
like new.
My first 2 MacBook Pros, so my 2009 MacBook Pro, the first Mac I ever owned, and my 2014 MacBook Pro, those were both refurbished MacBook Pros, and it's a great option. Like, they never have, like, they don't always replace the battery, but if they don't replace the battery, they don't have a high cycle count on them. They make sure like everything's clean and brand new. So maybe a refurbished option is the way to go, and I can save some money on the back end and put that towards the 2026 OLED beast of a machine, because I think if that is the machine that, like, you know, it's rumored to be like new redesign M6 chip, I'm going to go M6 Max chip, as much RAM and as much storage as I can get, because I would like a machine that, like, I don't have to worry about upgrading for a few years, and it could just handle anything and everything I throw at it.
I think you should do that.
All right. This has been very therapeutic for me. Thank you, guys.
Anytime.
Nice.
Yeah. So I do want to point out, me going from the iPad to the Mac, is this the most any one of us has stepped outside of their comfort zone?
Nope.
What?
Nope.
Come
You're
on,
stepping
I'm the
into
iPad guy.
An even more comfortable zone, the Mac.
If we say yes, then
I win all of comfort zone.
No, then you can get out of comfort zone and we replace you with an AI or something.
That would be awkward.
Oh boy.
Because you're done, like you've achieved.
You've done it.
I've achieved comfort zone.
Yeah.
I've achieved comfort zone nirvana.
You finished 100%.
Anyways, yeah. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this. Like, I was talking to Danielle about this, and I'm actually like legitimately excited to cover like some Mac stuff. Like, when we get off this call today, I have a couple of scripts I'm working on, and they're all kind of Mac related apps and stuff like that. And I'm like legit excited to cover this stuff because it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. Like I said, feel like I've been repeating myself for a while, so I'm ready for something new.
All right, we're
Nice.
YouTube rivals now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Oh, yeah. Didn't even think about that. Oh,
I will
now we really
replace
have
all
to
your
start that.
thumbnails.
Well, a little background story. Matt and I have been like talking for years now about creating a YouTube beef to get like our numbers, boosted. Because here's the story. None of those YouTube beefs are real, and they're all artificial. None of them are actually real. They're all artificial to boost numbers. So Matt and I might do a boxing match one day or something like that.
I don't think it works if you announce it beforehand.
Yeah. Well, I'm also who's the magician? Oh, Penn and Teller, where they like show off like how magic tricks and stuff happen. I'm that for YouTube because all this YouTube drama and stuff annoys me, and I'm just like, you know what? I'll be the ones that spill the beans because this is dumb. Just make fun videos. All right. You guys ready for the challenge?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Let's do it. All right. The challenge was Matt. Matt, it was your challenge, right?
It was my challenge, yeah. And I I got a little pushback, but not as much as I thought I might. And the challenge was simply, what app is undefeated? And you were to treat this however you wanted. And I can go first to give you my answer.
Please.
Okay.
There's a few apps that I think could fall into this category. But the one I went with was Reader. Reeder.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, okay, Reader Classic, I guess, at this
there
point.
we go. Okay.
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
What-
Reader
what's gonna-
Classic is so undefeated that the new Reader can't even outclass it.
I love the developer. I love what he does. I do not like the new version of Reader. I do not like it one bit. I get he's trying to kind of keep up with the times and stuff like that, but I actually haven't heard anyone say they love it. So
I've heard people say they love it.
Oh, okay.
I've heard
Okay,
people
that's
say they
good.
love Tapestry as well. I don't jive with these apps personally, but yeah, it could just be I'm an old man. But Reader is so undefeated that I thought about Things as well. I've been using Things forever. But the difference between these two is that I sometimes get Task Manager curious, and I'll try reminders for a few weeks, or I'll try Todoist again, or it'll be some weird new app, and I'll try that. But like, I don't even try other apps with Reader at this point. For my RSS, Reader's fine. I have no desires. I have no wants for it, which is why I'm not as upset about the new Reader getting more attention these days, because like, I don't need updates to the perfect app. So
now somebody on some podcast, and I don't remember who, where, when, why, and how, mentioned that the Reader Classic is getting pretty buggy. Are you seeing that?
I haven't seen this myself.
Okay. All right. I left it. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it, but I left it because I was like, well, if it's just in maintenance mode, at what point does it stop being in maintenance mode?
Yeah. And that could be the thing that knocks it out.
Yeah, especially because it's a paid upfront app. It's not a subscription app. So the developer doesn't have a ton of incentive to keep working on it past, a certain reasonable point. Like, your $5 only goes so far. Your $5 does not give you a lifetime of bug fixes and improvements.
Yeah. Yeah. And the app is called Reader Classic now, but it was Reader 5 when it came out, right? And every like year or two, you would release a new Reader, and it would be Reader 3, 4, 5, and Reader 6 presumably might be a thing at one point. But yeah, so far it hasn't been an issue. I did have I think one issue with like an article not loading, and I had that same reaction. I was like, oh, here we go. Here come the bugs. And I tried, I don't want to name them, but I tried some other RSS apps, and I had more issues with those. And I was like, I'll just stick with what I know and what I love. So for me, Reader is undefeated, at least through early 2025.
Nice. Love it. I've been just to close the loop on RSS apps. I've been using Fiery Feeds lately, and it's okay, but it requires a lot of customization to get it to look nice. There's a lot of features you can tweak in it, and like article spacing and title size and stuff like that. I spent a lot of time tweaking it, and then to find out the settings don't sync over. So I was like, crap, I got to do it on the iPhone. I got to do it on the iPad. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah.
Nice. Chris, what's undefeated for you?
So for me, I kind of had two. And if you make me pick one, if you make me pick one, I can pick one if need be.
I think you should pick one. I didn't even mention my runners-up.
Okay.
I'm really trying to follow the rules. As someone who's been called out on many occasions for not following the rules, I'm really trying to
all right. I will pick one, and then I'll have an honorable mention. How about that?
Okay. We'll take it.
The one I am going to pick is Final Cut Pro. I mean, it's one of the very big reasons I left the iPad for the Mac. Like it is performance-wise, it beats Premiere, it beats DaVinci, it beats Avid. Performance-wise, that nothing can touch it, and I'm sure it's benefited by the fact that it's made by the same people that make the hardware that it runs on. And that software is bespoke to the Mac. There's no Windows version, so they don't have to worry about any of that stuff that all the other nonlinear editors have to worry about. It does a great job at plugin support. like I said, that's something that I know a lot of people use and they love. And I know YouTubers that literally will not touch anything else because they have like this arsenal of plugins that they rely on to make their videos. Matt's raising his hand right now. I like I said, it's really easy if you want to build your own presets. It's really easy to do that. The magnetic timeline, one of those things, when it was announced, people are like, "What the blank is this?" And I will be honest, I hated Final Cut 10 when it came out. I was already a video editor at the time. I was using Final Cut Pro 7. Loved it. I was like, what the bloody hell is this? I hated it so much, and then came back to it a few years later. They had done some updates. Absolutely love it now. The magnetic timeline is amazing. I can't believe other video editors aren't stealing it. Maybe Apple has a patent on it, and that's why they can't. But it is one of those apps that it works so well. It works so fast. I can get my work done incredibly quickly with it. At the beginning of this year, I made a video about all the apps that were on my iPad, and one of the things I mentioned is, I'm going to learn DaVinci Resolve. I tried. I actually paid for a DaVinci Resolve course that was recommended to me. I got about a week into that, and DaVinci Resolve on the iPad is way, way more full-featured than than Final Cut Pro on the iPad. So I was very optimistic. I got into it. The performance was terrible, mostly because I was running on an M4 iPad Pro. Like, if I was running on like an M4 Max MacBook Pro, that would be different. But performance wasn't great. It is incredibly difficult to understand. Like, to wrap my brain around DaVinci, I just could not wrap my brain around it. It does not make any sense. There is a ton of features in there that just frankly aren't for me. They're meant for more professional people that are editing television shows and movies and things like that. So there's a lot of extra stuff in there that I just don't need. Like, I don't need that. And it just kind of clutters up all the UI. Final Cut Pro, I have custom keyboard shortcuts set up. I have Keyboard Maestro set up with keyboard shortcuts to trigger multiple keyboard shortcuts at the same time. So that way, like, I can literally trigger multiple actions without like having to do them separately. It like one keyboard shortcut triggers multiple things happening in Final Cut Pro. It's so wild, like, how fast I can make my workflow around this app. And it's so smooth. Like I've said, I've edited our show on the M4 MacBook Air, and it's fine. I have to close everything out because this thing only has 16 gigs of RAM, but it's fine. It works. It's fantastic. I was a big Premiere Pro user for years and years. I could never go back to that. Like, the performance of Premiere Pro is just so bad. So yeah, Final Cut Pro is my pick. Obsidian is my honorable mention because I do all my writing in Obsidian. It's amazing. There you go. That's what I got.
Nice. I think it's a great choice. As a fellow Final Cut fan, I endorse it. But I do look at DaVinci sometimes and I'm like, ooh, that is good.
I get why people lose their mind over DaVinci, especially the color grading tools. But for me, so like this right here, if you're watching the video, is my static A-roll shot. I do this. This is where I sit for all my A-roll, all my talking head. This is where I sit. So what I did one day is I filmed a test footage. Actually, I think I just took footage from another video, put it in Final Cut, and I just built a preset for my A-roll. So I don't have to go through and color grade every single time. I film most of my B-roll in the studio. So I have color grade presets for B-roll in this studio. So I just build these presets. Everything looks great. Maybe it could look better in DaVinci Resolve, but I have these presets. I just drop them on the clips when I'm editing, and it speeds things up so nice.
Nice. All right. Niléane, what do you have for undefeated apps?
All right. Mine is Safari.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I was not expecting this.
It's been 10 years. 10 years that I keep coming back to Safari. So 10 years because 10 years ago is approximately when I got my first Mac. Before that, I was a Linux head, as you know. And you know that I'm someone who likes to try new things, especially new web browsers. I'm a bit like Matt in this way.
It's a sickness.
although Matt goes crazy. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot I could try the horse browser now.
You can.
Yes.
I was so worried when
Immediately
you
downloaded that.
freaked out. Okay.
Sorry, I just
Yes, you
remembered
can.
you guys talking about web browsers, and I was like, I really want to play with this, and I couldn't. Sorry.
I jumped on my chair. Okay. Yes, you can try the horse browser, Chris, and I'm proud of you for being able to do that. Yeah, I keep coming back to Safari, whether that's from horse browser, from... I had a brief honeymoon period with Arc right around the time when Matt was making a video every day about it. And yeah, because it was great. And it still is in some way. And yeah, that was like a brief honeymoon, and I got an annulment right after that. I was like, okay, that was fun and all, but I need to go back to my family at home. And that's Safari. So why? I will try to explain why, although it's a bit irrational at some point. Maybe after 10 years, it's probably a bit irrational, mostly habits. The UI first. I really like Safari's UI because it's out of my way. And a lot of these browsers, even Chrome, which has very basic UI, principally in concept, it's very basic UI. I feel it's in my way all the time because it's got pop-ups. Will you translate this website? Do you want to translate this website? I hate this. Safari used to do that, but I don't think anymore. I don't know.
I think it does it, but it's subtle.
Yeah, it's more subtle, but it's just an example. Like Chrome does this with so many features that it has baked in now. And there's also the thing that it's probably because I'm not a tab holder, and I've never been a tab holder. I will mention my partner once again, famous on this show now. My partner has no less than few hundred tabs open at once, at all times, during the day, during the week, during the weekend, whenever. Some of their tabs that are open, so they used Firefox until recently and switched over to Zen browser. But some of their tabs have been open for 6 months.
Jesus.
And I look at the laptop screen, I'm like, do you still need those tabs from 6 months ago? And they're like, yeah, I might get back to them at some point. I'm not going. They use tabs like bookmarks or whatever. I don't know. But a ton of people do that. And I will never understand it. But I do understand that the people who do that, they will not use Safari. Because Safari, the tabs are very small. It gets very complicated to navigate through them once you have a bit too much of them. You have tab groups and all of that. I don't use tab groups. I'm the kind of person who, I'm done with a tab, I close it. I never have more than a handful of tabs open at once. And recently I've talked about it on the show and on Mac Stories as well. I have been using profiles with Safari. So I have 4 different profiles for work. So one for Mac Stories, one for To Defam, one for another thing, and a personal profile. And I juggle them during the day, and it's been working great. Like I've given with those profiles, I've given myself one more reason to always go back to Safari. and yeah, sorry, I know people hate Safari sometimes. It's become a joke. Every time there's an OS update, is Safari snappier? I don't know. I like it. I think it's nice.
If Safari's one thing, it's snappy. That's
Yep.
the one.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the thing it's got going
Exactly.
for it.
I use Safari because of just all the system features, especially like fill in this 2FA authentication code that we texted to you kind of thing. Like that,
Yeah.
those kind of features right there are those are the web browser killer features that I'm like, yeah, I can't change my default browser. But I do have Chrome installed for those few websites that just don't quite work well with Safari.
Yeah. Well, yeah, same here. I do have Chrome installed. But yes, Safari is the GOAT. Sorry.
All right. Matt, how do you think we did with your challenge? Did we come up
Yeah.
with undefeated apps?
You all did great. These are all
Hey.
good choices.
Nice.
Look at that.
All right.
Nice.
Well, it's my challenge for the next week. You guys ready for this?
Oh, I
Yes.
forgot about this.
Are you ready? Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. My challenge for you guys is to automate your startup process. And I'm going to keep it vague.
When we wake up in the morning, do you mean?
It could be when you wake up in the morning. It could be when you turn on your computer. It could be making a cup of coffee.
So my startup, not my computer's startup.
Whatever you consider your whatever it could be your computer startup, it could be your startup, it could be your dog's startup, it could be no, it needs to be your startup because that yours is in the title.
Okay.
But like it could be like when you sit down at your computer, when you make a cup of coffee, when you make breakfast. I mean, maybe you make a Rube Goldberg machine that like takes eggs and puts it into the pan and then like builds you a whole omelet kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, the Disney smart home movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it could be anything related to whatever you consider your startup process or whatever startup process you want. I want you to automate it. I can give you an example of kind of how I've automated mine in the past, but it might kind of because it's going to get tweaked for this challenge, so it might spoil it.
Keep it a secret.
Let's not. Yeah.
Okay. Because it's going to get heavily tweaked.
We might do very different things, and that's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it could be as simple as like I put a smart home plug on a dumb coffee machine, so that way it just starts up in the morning. Like, it could be something like that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, that just about does it for this episode. But as always, we have an end of the show question, and I would just like to remind everyone, just at the end of the show, we have a feedback form now. Link will be in the show notes. So please feel free to play along with our challenges and answer the end of the show question. And the end of the show question I have for you guys, I actually already teased it last week. What Nintendo Switch 2 game are you really looking forward to playing?
Absolutely no question about it. It's Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Ooh, okay. Interesting first choice.
I was not expecting that.
But Donkey Kong wearing pants really throws me off for some reason.
And suspenders, too.
And suspenders, yeah. He's got the full thing. It really throws me off.
I think it looks so great. I think it looks fun. I think the destruction looks cool. I like the title is Bonanza. It's perfect. I'm super excited about this.
Niléane, what about you? I know you said you probably won't be getting a Switch 2, but like if somebody hands you one, what's the first game you'd be wanting to play?
So about that, might have changed my mind.
Okay.
But it might wait until Christmas, is what I say.
Okay.
Mario Kart World is what I'm excited about. I will say this again. I'm a monster at this game. I will beat anyone in my path. And I intend to do so with the new game.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a challenge.
That's
right
big
there.
talk.
For me, I have a pretty serious confession. I have to make. I never finished Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know why.
That's okay.
No one has.
I kind of just fell off of it. Like,
I have, although I've never finished Breath of the Wild, and I say Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games of all time.
You've never finished Breath of the Wild?
No.
Wow.
It's so long.
It is really long. And I think I don't really remember the timeline of events that happened with Tears of the Kingdom, but I think something else came out. And I know I got really annoyed at the building vehicle mechanic thing. Like, hey, you constantly need to be building this thing. And oh boy, was it kind of difficult to do to get it like precisely right. And that kind of annoyed me. So I think I kind of fell off of it. But with the Nintendo Switch Online membership, it's like the Nintendo Switch Online Plus or whatever it's called, I don't remember, or expansion. If you already own Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, you get the Nintendo Switch 2 upgrades as a part of that subscription. So I will probably go back and I'll probably play both of them. I'll probably start with Breath of the Wild and then go into Tears of the Kingdom because, that sounds like fun, and I'm really excited to see what those games look like in 4K. My
theory is only YouTubers finish those games, so you should finish the game.
Yeah, I mean, I should. I've never streamed games before. I don't know if that's something anyone would be interested in watching me do. I don't know, but
sure.
I've never streamed games
I'll
before.
drop a kappa in your chat.
A what?
It's not good that I don't know what that
Chris.
is either.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Matt and I are old. I have no idea what that means. Anyways, let's wrap up the show. Thank you all so much for listening. A big thank you to Mac Stories for having us. We are a Mac Stories podcast after all. Be sure to go check out all the other shows and writing that's happening over there. Matt, Niléane, do you have anything you want to plug for the week?
You should check out my new website, Quick Stuff. Quickstuff.app. It's just a whole bunch of quick little apps. We got a timer.
Getting really, really, really good at being a developer.
Of tiny things.
But he still won't make me a robot that goes gets me a Dr. Pepper.
I refuse.
Yeah. Niléane, you got anything you want to promote?
Not yet. I'm working on a fun roundup of apps for Mac Stories, but I will not say more because it's going to be a fun little thing.
Okay. I'm excited for that. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.